Yeah.
For me, I like taking an annual goal and breaking it down into quarterly goals. And then from
Hmm.
there, making like a weekly battle plan, and then every day doing something to check it off. And it's just a little something. It's, say you want to buy, maybe let's say 10 units this year, 10
Hmm.
apartment
Hmm.
units. Maybe
Yeah.
that might mean a duplex this quarter. Okay, so what's that going to mean? You've got to make 50 offers, and you've got to analyze 150 deals, and you've
Hmm.
got to, put an hour a day into getting on the MLS or looking at off
Hmm.
market properties or whatever. So that's kind of the framework I like. And
Hmm.
I didn't always have that always figured out until I met people like you. I used to kind of subscribe to like this 10x goal methodology and just write down every day. One day
Hmm.
I'll own 10,000 units. And the next day I write it down again.
Yeah.
And the next day I write it down again. And that's cool.
Mm.
But at the same time, I'd write down, I'm going to own 10,000 units, and I would do nothing else about real estate that day. Well, I'm not just going to miraculously, come up with 10,000 units if I
Yeah,
don't do
exactly.
something every day. So,
Sure.
I kind of got in a little rut there and got a little sidetracked, just dreaming big, but not putting any
Hmm.
action behind it. So
Hmm.
that was my goal. But you kind of asked about, how to manage, goals with a W-2. I think, just taking the approach of consistent daily action.
Hmm.
Everybody's busy in their daily lives. Vinney, you don't necessarily have a W-2 anymore. You used to be an engineer,
Yeah.
but no
Yes.
longer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're still a busy guy, right? But every
Hmm.
day,
Hmm.
you're doing something to pursue your goals. So, just realize that you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to carve out some of your fun time and put it towards, professional time, if you will. But I think that's the approach to take.
100%, 100%. And what you just said is so true. Many times we have dreams. Those dreams, we think they are our goals, but they are not. Like you said, the 10,000 units, maybe one day I'll get it, but we got to look at, okay, how can I get to 10 units first?
Yeah.
And then 100. And then once you are there and you have the system set up, then you can scale up. You could go to 200, then 500, then 1,000, but just to kind of be reprimanding yourself or just be in a wonderland, I say,
Yeah, right.
that one day I'm going to own 10,000 units. But many times people like success overnight, I call it, right?
Yes.
I mean, overnight, they want to own this just next day, but they don't see the operator or the syndicator or whatever, how long it took them to go from where to the next point of 5,000 units or 10,000. 10,000 is a pretty big chunk, and especially
Yeah.
in this market, you're looking at almost 1 billion,
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
10,000 units. Easy, that's like 100,000, 1,000. That's even, I think, cheaper. It should be even more than that. But you're right. I think we should all be starting from what we want, the real whys, because W-2 is going to consume our work. And that's how it did for me too, many, many years. We worked at night in the team and spent 2 hours or 3 hours, and then the coach will come and every week, he'll prod us along and everything. So it's so important to bring the chunk it down slowly and
Yeah.
steadily every day. I love the fact that you said every day you got to move the needle.
Yeah. And it might be something small, say your goal is
Mm-hmm.
to, say buy
Mm-hmm.
10 units this year. Well, tomorrow it
Mm-hmm.
might just be, all you got to do is make one phone call that
Yeah.
broker. I mean, it
Yeah.
might feel small, but at least you're moving the needle. You're,
Yeah.
moving the ball down the field and getting close to your goal. And you do that every single day, no matter what, no matter how small or how big. You'll
Yeah.
look back in 5 or 10 years or 20 or 40 years and think, wow, I made a ton of progress. So,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it in my own life, and I know you have as well.
Totally, totally. I mean, it generally boils down to where you could spend the best of the best time, because W-2 consumes us. But then when we have little bit time, we need to be only working on two things. One is to talking to investors who are going to help us, maybe joint partnership, maybe principal, network, right? We're going to
Mm-hmm.
increase our network. And then the second is deals, and we get the deals in our business, right, in real estate, of course, from the from the brokers, and other means, off market. So let's talk about off market. I know
Yeah.
what kind of tools have you been using to get off market deals lately?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'd say, yeah, we can get into the specifics, but what it comes down to is just kind of hustle, right? I got in at an early age. I had essentially no money. I was a recent college graduate with no money to speak of. So out of necessity, I had to do things creatively. I had to find affordable properties. I had to.
Hi, you are listening to Syndication Made Easy podcast. We will be right back after this short break.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Vinney Chopra, and thank you for subscribing to my podcast and YouTube channel and Facebook pages and all the great things, and LinkedIn. Connect with me. I come live to you every Friday at 9:30 Pacific with Vinney and Bo show. Please also look at that, and also the podcast, which is my apartment syndication made easy. The book I wrote a couple of years back became international top seller on Amazon International now. And then we like to bring great guests for you every week or twice a week sometime to give you a lot of great knowledge. So please subscribe. You give us 5-star reviews on the iTunes. The better the guests we can bring, and our ranking will go higher also. Thanks again for following us and really getting the most out of it. Please comment, like, share, because we would love to bring better and better material for you.
So out of necessity, I had to do things creatively. I had to find affordable properties. I had to find them creatively. I had to finance them creatively. So out of that lack of resources, if you will, at least monetary resources, it created me to kind of craft this little niche of creative financing and finding off-market deals. And so there's a lot of different ways to do that. But one of the things I've really figured out well was, finding off-market deals, targeted off-market deals, meaning I would see a specific property I liked in my area, and I would look up that property. I wouldn't, mail, say, postcards to every duplex in the state, right? Because I only wanted over here on this side of town, or I wanted that specific property there. So that's how I started out. I've done conventional financing. I've done seller financing, which I'm a really big fan of.
I love it.
Those strategies work really well in kind of that small to mid-sized multifamily asset. You're kind of maybe buying from a mom and pop investor. You're definitely not buying from institutional investors. And you're also playing in a space where you're kind of under that radar of maybe some of those larger investors, definitely the institutional investors. So I think there's a sweet spot for, maybe if you're just in that phase of your investing career. And so maybe we could take a specific deal, for example, trying to think, okay, so I bought a duplex off market. And this was my second deal I ever purchased. And how we found this, Vinney, it's kind of a funny story I like to tell, because at the time I'm reading all these books and just consuming dozens of podcast hours every week. And I've got all these strategies of finding off-market deals and high equity and out-of-state owners and tax liens and foreclosures, right? And, all the things you look for. Well, this deal comes to me through my Papa John, who is 80 plus years old. And he's out metal detecting one day with one of his metal detecting buddies. Now, this guy does not get online. He doesn't have a cell phone. He is not plugged into the real estate world. He's watching World War II movies and metal detecting. Shout out to my Papa John. I would say shout out, but he's absolutely not listening to this podcast, because he's not listening to podcasts. He's that guy, right? So he tells me one day, he's like, Jake, I was out metal detecting with my buddy, and I know you're buying some rental properties, and we know this duplex over in town. I said, yeah, let me go check it out. Drive over there, look up the property owners, reach out to them. Yeah, sure enough, they're interested in selling. It's 3 siblings who inherited it. I negotiated a deal on the spot, bought it. I did conventional financing, so I had the 20% down to put down, but just a creative way. And I know everybody out there can't rely on their grandpa, but the moral of that story is you never know how a deal is going to come to you until you're out there just spreading the word of what you're doing. I think that's the takeaway there. So if you're talking about what you're doing, telling people, hey, I'm buying duplexes in this area, or I'm looking for single family flips, or whatever it is, if you're out there telling people, it's like the universe has a funny way of giving you what you ask for.
So true. Oh my gosh, I believe in that so much, Jacob. The law of abundance, law of positivity, of course, but law of attraction
Yes,
is the
that's it.
one. Law of attraction and manifestation of what you send out signals in the universe. Somehow, somewhere, it just works. It just works. People come into your network, they bring things that you never knew were possible. And
Yeah.
that has happened in your life and my life, and many people listening and watching to us also. On the other spectrum, this was the property side. If I may share one idea about one of my, investor, where I raise a lot of money as,
Mhm.
syndicator. I was talking to my car care guy, and he says, Vinny, I want to talk to you because you're a broker also. What do you think about my building over here? I said, oh, it's pretty good building. You got your tenant here. We got 2, 3 other tenants, industrial, right? It's got the car and smart people and all. He says, I'm thinking about buying. I said, oh, you can get some really great rates and everything. He says, Vinny, I'm going to pay cash $3 million.
There you go. Good
Look
for
at
him.
that. Look good for him. The thing is, sometimes we just don't understand what people have. And
Yeah.
we rationalize and we think that, that business people or, our laundry people, our doctors, many of them have quite a bit money stashed away. So
Mhm.
it's not good to rationalize and say, so and so could only afford this little or this much, but we should just go with abundance lifestyle and ask them. So when I started sharing with them, our minimum is 250,000, he didn't even blink. He says, sure, yeah, I'd like to invest. So, no, you're so right. I think it's so important.